Welcome back to the 5th episode of the Unfortunate Diehards podcast. We have a lot of stuff to talk about today, like some big signings. We have a couple free agents left, and then we have a right wings list and a head-to-head list about our right wingers. We also have officially launched our Spotify, so if you would like to listen to this without watching us, which is understandable, you can go watch or listen on Spotify while you're driving or working out, whatever floats your boat. But we'll introduce the lads. Say hello.
Hello, my name is Sufi.
Oh, you said your name today.
Yeah.
So Sufi has a quiet mic today.
I don't know what's happening.
And then I have a 40-year-old to my left. So
Oh my god.
It's okay. Omer's actually 19.
Yeah.
Okay, let's just say my. No,
That's fine. We'll see which one they believe.
Yeah, it's all good.
Yeah. You guys, let us know in the comments below. So.
What? No. we don't. All right.
So the first things we're going to talk about today is some really big extensions happened over the last week. So JT Miller was extended in Vancouver. Tage Thompson got a big extension out of Buffalo, and Jake Ottinger in Dallas. So these are some of Sufi's absolute favorite players in the world. So I know he's horned up and ready to talk about them. So Sufi, what are your thoughts on?
Wait, who was the third player that you said?
Jake Ottinger
And JT Miller.
and Thompson.
Oh, Ottinger,
Yes.
you're very happy about.
So
I know that.
Sufi,
I
why
like
don't
all
you
these
tell us
players.
about? Let's start with JT Miller. What are your thoughts?
He got essentially the same thing Kadri got, as in like lower AAV for more term, and it's going to be a bad contract in 5 years probably.
Less.
But I mean, it is what it is right now. The thing is, like, he's worth the money for sure right now, and he's going to be worth the money for at least a couple of years. I mean, he's had 72 points in 69 games, 46 and 53, and then 99 and 80, and he's essentially was their entire offense last year. Even with Pedersen and whatever, like, he's also taken over the first line center role and moved Pedersen to the wing. So, Brock Besser. Brock Besser's his own. Yeah, he's okay. Ottinger is just like.
Whoa. We were all going to talk about JT Miller, then move on. Thank
We're
you.
gonna say all three. Okay.
Omar, what are your thoughts on the extension?
Exactly the same thing. He's going to be good for a few years, and then it's going to be a bust. But that's how these contracts goes. I don't know. I'm not.
The only thing is, it's the same with Kadri. Like, once his legs go, that it's just the contract's gonna be.
Yeah, but I mean, he's still producing and he's still quite effective. So I'm not gonna hate on the contract.
You kind of do what you need to do to get those players on your team, especially for Vancouver and Calgary and teams like that. Like
not every contract is a home run like John Tavares. But you gotta pick and choose. So it's all good.
Right. Well, I agree that it's similar to the Kadri contract in the sense of they may not be producing the same as they are later on, and I could see them both taking a step back offensively this year. But even if he had like an 80-point season, I'm sure he would have gotten a similar contract. But yeah, let's move on to Tage Thompson. So this man, what is it, 6'7" guy, just decided to score 38 goals when he had 18 before in his career. That was ridiculous. He was very, very dominant, and at that size too, the way he can move, that's a very impressive player. But is a big step up in for one really good season, getting $7.1 million a year. That's he better keep this up.
What's the length on that? On his contract? It's $7 million.
Seven times 7.1 or something like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
The thing is, I've seen players that even haven't had a good one season get more money. So like, this isn't really crazy to me. I think there was a lot of conflict on Twitter about whether this was worth it or not. But for me, like, whenever he played the Caps in his first few seasons, he was always the most noticeable players, and I was always like, why doesn't he have any points or goals? And it was maybe because Buffalo is horrible, and they improved last year near the end, and he was kind of the reason why. And I don't really see him dropping off that much, like next year and like going forward because of his shot and his ability to score from pretty much anywhere, and the fact that he's 6'7", and if he plans to use that for his entire career with the shot that he has and his ability to move, then I don't think he's going to have a problem living up to that contract.
It's like Sufi in basketball. Sufi's a big guy, but plays little, but then he realizes, oh yeah, I can just play like a big man.
Hey, if the three's not going, then I start doing that. If the three's going, then I look amazing.
He's 24 years old. Not Sufi.
Almost.
Omar. Omar's 40, 24, and 19.
He's Tage Thompson's 24 years old. I mean, I think Buffalo needs to do a signing like this, in my opinion.
That's a pretty looking man.
Yeah, he is a pretty looking man. Yeah. He gives
And
me
he's tall.
6'7"?
He gives me Lundqvist vibes.
Really? Lundqvist.
Young. He has the same facial features.
Maybe the jawline.
The jawline is
We're getting
quite
to
similar.
weird analytics here.
Yeah. Anyway,
Weird analytics. 99 percentile.
I feel like
looks.
Buffalo needs a contract like this. They need to
Yeah.
put their
They did it with Jeff Skinner.
yeah, but
Wait.
they need to put their confidence in a guy, and they need to sign him long term, and they need to like show the team that like they're putting in pieces for now and the future to kind of. Because they're still a mess.
They have to do that with Dahlin now next year.
Yeah.
Because he has 2 years left at 6.
Yeah, especially after the whole Eichel debacle, it's like no, you gotta put some solid foundations on that team right now.
I mean, they're trending in the right direction, and if him and Skinner continue the chemistry that they had, then I don't see why he wouldn't play into this contract and continue that. So, and last but not least, Sufi's other favorite player in the world.
Damn, I haven't really seen his face. I'm not gonna lie. But anyways,
We went from this guy to this guy?
he looks like he should be in like IT or something. But I don't know. Like, his stats for his first couple seasons in the regular season are right around like save percentage is good, not great, and then the GA is like pretty good for a goalie in this NHL. But the thing is, like, after the playoff performance last year, I think that people probably thought he could get more money and stuff, but people are kind of afraid to give goalies a lot of money in term until they're at least established, and even then, once they finally figure that out, they're already like 28 or 30 or whatever. But I think you can tell that he's going to be one of the better goalies in the league going forward, and I would be surprised if he jumps into like being a top 7-8 goalie in coming years, especially with how defensive Dallas plays. But I don't know. In terms of skill and stuff like that, I think we've heard even Jacob talk about it. Like he's on a different level, and he's only 23, and you don't see goalies usually hit their stride until they're in their mid-20s, and he's already had a couple good seasons. So
I think it's funny that you brought up how defensive Dallas plays, because I remember like 5 years ago or something, they were like the most offensive team in the world. They would win games like 7-6 all the time. And now they've
weird.
switched up so much.
It's weird thinking of them in the other light.
Mhm.
Yeah.
but that's you can see that in the point drop off in their stars.
Yeah.
That's so
Dallas
weird.
Stars.
But I don't know. They also a lot of their forwards are really good. A lot of their forwards are really good defensively, and they help out as well. And like, you have one of the better defensive defensemen in the world too. So
Did you hear my joke?
sorry, bro. I would have laughed more. It was more internal for me. Just trying to continue my analysis, my deep analysis.
You said it in the middle of his point.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, he had a very solid regular season last year and the year before. And so if you want to run over the playoff stats for him right now, it was one of, if not the most dominant goalie performance in a series ever. It was ridiculous.
He only had 13 goals against in 7 games played, and they still somehow lost that series. 954 save percentage and 1.81 GAA. And it was 272 saves and 285 shots, which is insane. 11, which for advanced stats people, like 11.9 goals saved above average is insane. Because if you think about it,
Shesterkin-like.
I think it was the highest in a playoff series ever, or since Price or something like that. But like Shesterkin finished with like 40, I think, or something near that, and then like the next highest goalies were like 30 around that. But that's on a full season. He did 11.9 in one series, goals saved above average. Like, think about that stat. Insane.
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely one of the goalies to look forward to in the upcoming years with, like, Saros and Shesterkin and stuff. Like, he's right up there. So, any thoughts, Omar?
Yeah, the same. I mean, it's another signing that I feel like this is a pretty risk-free signing. So I'm not gonna. I'm not like. I don't know. There's not too much to analyze in this one for me, to be honest. It's like he's played good. He's young. He's 23. I mean, goalies are hard to come by, especially goalies that can perform at this level at this age. So I don't think there's any. This is a great deal.
Contract wise, it's sick.
So, I mean, yeah.
Because they still have to sign Robertson, and like they have to do both under like 12 mil or something like that. So now I think Robertson's gonna want 7.5, whatever it is with term. So if you're gonna keep both of those players,
what's Ottinger's final? What was his number?
For what?
His contract?
3 times 4.
3 times 4?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
That's really good.
Amazing.
Now we're going to move on to some people who don't have contracts or have signed very recently from free agency. So Phil the Thrill, Omar's favorite player of all time.
He was. Why is his jersey not up, guys?
I couldn't find it.
Something happened to it. We won't talk about it. We'll talk about it later. So Phil Kessel has signed a 1-year deal with the Las Vegas Golden Knights. Doesn't that just sound about right?
Yeah.
Like Phil Kessel living it up in Vegas and potting 30 goals somehow.
It's the most. That team is the most Kessel team you can ever. Like,
Did you hear what he said about Arizona though? He was like, "It was fine. It's finally nice to go to a team that actually wants to win."
Does he want to win?
That's what I think. Everyone was like, "Why?" Okay, like Vegas has been a dumpster fire for like 2 years now, and like they did have good teams to start, but now.
But honestly, come
like,
on, Eichel, Kessel. What's that line gonna be? Eichel, who am I missing? Eichel, Kessel, and who?
No, it'd probably be like. Is Kessel going to be in the first line? They're both right wingers. Or Stone, sorry.
Stone.
I think
No,
Stone,
yeah.
Eichel, and.
But who am I missing? I'm missing someone else in the top 6.
Right now, they probably have Stevenson at left wing, and then Eichel and Stone, and then the second line's always been Marchessault, Carlson, and Riley Smith.
I mean, this deal. Honestly, Phil Kessel best signing. Like such a good signing.
Yeah.
1 year, like come on, the guy.
I mean, he was gonna be risk free wherever he went. I mean, it was 1 year at 1.5.
Yeah, exactly. And for a guy who can still put up points, I mean, yeah, he had a dry season last year, but I mean,
Yeah,
whatever.
he's
Dry season, Arizona. Okay.
Funny guy. He was, but I don't think he was playing on the first line or anything in Arizona either. He was like,
Yeah, he's gonna be great on that power play. He's a great power play player.
Yeah. But I don't know if he plays with Patrick and Nicholas Roy, he's not going to put up much points. But
yeah, he's projected to play on the third line with Roy and Patrick, according to Daily
Yeah, but he's
Faceoffs.
going to move up.
Well, he'll be on the power play,
He's
that's
gonna
for
move up,
sure.
for sure.
I don't know if he's going to move. He's not playing above Stone and with Eichel. And they're not going to put him on the other side because he's never played on the other side.
He could potentially play with Eichel, I think.
With Stone gone? Like, they're not going to put Stone with... Because that second line has chemistry, and they've been together for like 3 years. Unless they don't produce or whatever, then I don't really see that happening.
They'll do some juggling, I think. Just to see what they've got in him right now.
I mean, Vegas is also just a question mark in general.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, they
I don't know
have
if
Aaron Dell now.
I don't know after
No,
last
Aiden Hill,
season.
sorry.
I don't know after last
I was
season
gonna
if you
say
can
Aaron
say
Dell.
that there is anything locked in terms of lineup choices for Vegas.
Oh, yeah, they're all over
Yeah.
the place. They have a couple new players. They don't have a goalie, so
Aiden Hill is good, though.
maybe some of us have them
I like
missing the
Aiden Hill.
playoffs.
I think.
What'd you say?
Said maybe some of us have them missing the playoffs.
I feel like
I mean,
all
they-
3 of us might.
Yeah, but I don't know. I could also see them making it. I'm not.
It's a weak division.
Yeah, and Vegas isn't that young of a team where Kessel's gonna come in and screw up the culture.
If anything, he's going to help the culture. He is culture in Vegas.
Is he going to bring everyone down with him, or is he just going to gamble by himself?
I don't know.
Who knows?
As long as the star player doesn't hate him, he's good.
He is the star player.
That's a question mark with Eichel. So
Exactly.
Stone seems like he likes everyone.
I feel like Kessel, in terms of lineup choices, he's one of those players that can really fit in anywhere throughout his career. Right now, at this age, I'm not sure. Let's see how he performs this year. But I mean, generally, put him anywhere, and he's good enough where he can adjust his game to pass, and he's good enough where he can put in his shot. So I don't know. He can finish. He
You
can
usually
pass.
want him playing with like someone defensive.
Yes.
He's basically a black hole defensively.
Yeah, I know he's terrible.
That's why maybe a third line isn't the worst option. And then you've seen like offensive players become third line players throughout their career, and they play like with more defensive players. And
I
then
mean, for a while, I mean, I think he was a third liner in Pittsburgh a lot of times too.
Well,
when he
by
had 92 points.
technicality.
By technicality, yes.
when he had 92 points.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was like in Ottawa, Mike Hoffman was a fourth liner because the coaches hated him, but he sniped it on the power play all the time.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. I mean, I like the Kessel signing. I'm a fan.
yeah, I'm also a fan.
I just don't
Yeah.
like
That
Vegas
works.
anymore. That's my only thing.
Why?
They
You
kind
should
of
like
I
them.
mean,
They-
no, their
they
whole
threw.
their whole thing about their whole contract situation at trade deadline was pretty embarrassing.
Yeah, but now like my whole thing was their asset management is just horrendous.
That's what I mean. Yeah.
Yeah, because now like if you look at any contract that they had like 3 or 4 years ago, like or any trade that they had, like the Pacioretty trade, Tatar trade, everyone's just gone from those
Fleury
trades.
trade.
Fleury, yeah, I mean Fleury was literally a black hole because he went for nothing. And now Leonard's
Technically,
gone.
so was Pacioretty.
Yeah, It
A
just
lot
took
of
little while to get there.
how Vegas performs this year is how Eichel performs.
Yeah,
Because he came off a huge surgery and stuff. He wasn't. Everyone knew he wasn't going to have that amazing of a year or half year whenever he came back.
I picked him
Yeah.
very high in fantasy this year, banking on him having a very good
Yeah.
season this year.
yeah. I
So
totally-
Vegas-
when you draw, I didn't even have him like in the realm of possibility in my head. I totally forgot about him. But he picked him like 28 or something.
Yeah, my top 3 centers are in a keeper league with 16 teams. McKinnon, Eichel, and Barzal.
And what are your goalies?
I don't want to talk about it. It'll be better. It'll be better. I have Matt Murray on my team.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm assuming he gets wins, whether he earns them or not.
He'll get his wins.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
if he plays,
He'll play.
as in like injuries, and like maybe the possibility of him getting lit up and then Samsonov playing, they might have a goalie carousel in there with 4 goalies.
It's going to be back and forth. They're probably going to play half games each.
I guess we'll see.
Back to Pee Wee hockey.
Yeah. Okay. You've got the first 2. Murray's got the last. And something else I wanted to talk about is there's a couple interesting free agents left. We'll just go over quickly where we think Evan Rodriguez and Sonny Milano fit in the NHL.
Washington for both.
Not Ottawa.
Sonny Milano, I don't think should leave Anaheim. He is Anaheim. Like he just seems like a player that needs to be in Southern California, and then with all those young players over there. But I feel like if he was going to come back, he probably would have been signed by now. He's a good player, but I don't know. I don't see him leaving Southern California, whichever team it is. Maybe he goes to Vegas. Who knows?
Go Arizona.
I could see one of them going to somewhere like San Jose, where there's still some good players on the team, and they could play in the top 6, and having a shorter-term deal, and then maybe getting more later on.
I would
I
be
don't think-
surprised if Rodriguez goes back to Pittsburgh, honestly.
No player
I think
in
there
the
was
right mind
conversations.
wants to go to San Jose right now.
I mean, if you want to play in the top 6, you do.
It's a place of opportunity.
Yeah, I guess it is. It's also a place of. Well, it's also a place where even if you suck, you'll get an amazing contract.
Yeah, they'll give you a good contract. Don't worry.
They might be a little cautious, though. They're kind of up against the cap, and they have to sign Meyer next year. They already
Well,
signed Hurdle
if they
to
can sign Meyer.
Yeah, that might be a big deal. I want him to leave.
Meyer to Ottawa.
Meyer to Washington.
It was 1-for-1. DeBrincat, RFA, for Meyer, signed 8 years.
Meyer,
I honestly don't
Meyer
have
to
it.
Washington for Martin Erat.
I don't have any idea where Rodriguez could go. I have like nothing in my head.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like he was kind of just a random player that popped off because of
Yeah.
opportunity. I don't really see him being that effective.
Well, yeah, he was like, the first liner for like a month at least. And I think he scored, I don't know if he scored 3 against Ottawa, but there was this one game.
Yeah.
He went bar down twice in a row against Ottawa in the third. And I was like, who the hell is this guy? Well, obviously I know him because he's a great first name. But like, I was like, what the heck?
How is
Stop.
the only Evan in the NHL that aside like Jake Evans, but like
No.
who else?
Evan Bouchard.
Okay, we got 2.
Yeah, used to have none. Now there's 2.5.
There's no Sufjans in the NHL, so it's fine.
Not yet.
There's no Omars either.
It's okay, guys. We'll
we
get
can
there.
see an Omar. I feel like that's a possibility.
Yeah.
It is a possibility.
Yeah.
You have a
I
very
don't think
common-
Sufjan is much of a possibility.
No. We can
Unless
see
you
unless
yourself
I get
make it.
there.
Yeah, you may be an emergency
Yeah.
goalie one day or something.
That's actually my dream.
It'll be the new David Aries story.
You would definitely cry.
I'd be crying while I was playing.
Stop hurting me.
As long as you don't play against Toronto, it's fine.
Oh,
I mean, maybe you want him to play against Toronto. They might light him up.
Against Washington, just light
after
every
what happened to
single goal
Aries, I don't know
Ovechkin
what Aries.
shoots.
Yeah, get Ovechkin the record that night.
Yeah, honestly, Evan Rodriguez is a very boring player. I don't really care where he ends up anyway.
I hope he sees this.
Hey guys, just trying to make conversation on the podcast. Whatever.
It's literally just because his name's Evan. That's why we're talking about him right
Yeah,
now.
enough out of you. Okay, let's talk about something more interesting. Do we think Austin Matthews repeats 60 goals this season?
No.
100%.
Oh,
I mean,
those two very quick answers.
I mean, okay, come at me.
No, you go.
No,
first.
you come at us. I want to hear your reasoning. You did so well last episode with the Shabbat Riley conversation.
Man, the guy scored 50 in 50 or 51 in 50. What did he do?
Wasn't a true 50 and 50.
Yeah,
Everyone was like 50 and 50.
blah, blah, blah.
man,
No,
man.
he scored 51 in 50 or 15, whatever
It
it
was the
was.
obscure way of scoring it.
Okay. Anyway, he, like, when he gets on a tear, it's impossible. And he was on a tear, like, every time he played last season. Okay?
I mean, no, otherwise you would have hit like 70.
No, he was injured, and he had a bad start to the season after his injury.
He
So
didn't have that good of an end of the season. The end of the regular season,
his end after he hit
did.
60 was whatever, yeah. But I really don't think he was trying that hard after that anyway.
an argument. No, I
Speak
don't
the
know.
truth.
For me, he's gonna hover close to it. It's just I think that he's a player that can be figured out. Like I don't think.
But he hasn't
I
been
think
figured out yet.
He has though. That's why he's gone through dry spells. Like there's times where he's on a tear, but he has been stopped.
His
He's
dry
been stopped-
spells.
He's also been stopped
Oh
in
no,
the playoffs before.
his dry spells are like 2 games.
Just look it up. How long did he go without scoring? I don't know. I don't.
I
care.
mean, I would to defend Omar for a second, saying that he got figured out
You
on
can't
his best
say-
season.
I didn't say he got.
You can't.
I didn't
No,
say
no,
he
but
got
you
figured
can't.
out.
That's like me saying
I'm
that
saying he
Ovi got
can be
figured
figured
out
out.
when he scored 65 goals.
I'm saying he can be figured out. I don't think that he's.
No, but that's like me saying Ovi can be figured out because Ovi can be figured out, but he still
Ovi did
scores.
get figured out,
Huh?
and then he changed.
No, he didn't change.
Matthews
He
does-
still no. Ovi still does the exact same stuff. Everyone knows what he's gonna do, but he's
But
too
no,
good, so he scores
But
anyway.
you're wrong about that because he doesn't just score from the same spot every time. Which is I don't know why it was misconstrued that he just shoots from one side all the time, but that just wasn't the case last year. He scored like 3 goals from there,
I'm thinking more power play.
but just on the power play. I mean, obviously, what else is he going to do on the power play? He's going to switch sides on the power play. That'd be pointless.
No, but Matthews is not like. Oh, well, what are you saying? He's like one-dimensional then?
I'm not saying he's one-dimensional. I'm saying that he can be figured out. I don't think he's that crazy in terms of like.
No, he can't be. That's completely false.
I guess we'll see. I don't think he's like a McDavid or something where it's like impossible to stop him.
He scored 60 goals.
Okay, so did Stamkos.
So you can't-
So did Ovechkin.
Yeah, like 10 years ago. No one cares about them right now.
Yeah. I'm just saying. I don't think he's that. Like,
he did it right now, like fresh. Okay, out of the
Okay.
oven, 60 goals.
and he can be stopped.
Yeah,
Okay,
and
I will-
he can't be. How can he be stopped?
I will
What
say
do you
two
mean?
things.
Wait, how you can't? Okay, if he scored 60 goals and then he followed that up with a 30-goal season, then you can be like, okay, he can be stopped. Right now, you have nothing on your side right now to say he can. No, but you have no. Right now, you have nothing on your
How many
side to
goals
say
did he
he's been
score in the
stopped.
playoffs last year?
No, I'm not talking about playoffs.
Okay, but that's just proof that he can be figured out.
In
4 goals in
And
7
it's
games.
not that if teams put that same recipe that they have against him on the playoffs, in the
which
regular
hasn't happened
season,
as of yet.
I mean, 4
It
goals
can.
in 7 games.
He
is
got
still
4
good.
in 7. I mean,
1 in 7, 2
and
in 5.
I would
I'm just saying-
I would
I'm just saying-
argue that of those 7 games they played against Tampa this year, he won 2 of them.
Oh, we're not going through this again.
Yeah, so
but
anyway.
I'm just saying that like, which also I argued with you on that. So
You did, didn't you? There you go.
Agree with me.
You agree with me on that one.
But regardless, like for me, he can hit 60 again. I'm not going to argue that. It's just he's going to need to adjust as the league adjusts to him. So we need to see because now he's hit 60 for the first time, right? If he wants to keep getting near that number, he's got to change something in his game to keep with the times. Because like every player that is a good goal scorer, they find new ways to score. They go in different locations and stuff like that. Teams are going to start.
And you're saying Matthews doesn't do that?
I'm not saying he's one-dimensional. I'm just saying like the things that he does good, I think that people like teams will start shading more to that, and maybe he's gonna have to pass more. He's gonna have to like do more giving goals, whatever.
I would argue he did that this year.
I don't know, but I'm not saying he won't hit it.
I would argue that this year of his 60, you would see less of his classic toe drag snipe that as you've seen in previous seasons, and more variety goals.
I watched all.
Well, there
60
are more goals in general. So.
Exactly.
I watched all 60 goals of his, and I can assure you that's not the case.
No, I can assure you that is the case.
Let's watch all 60 goals right now.
All right, welcome to a watch party.
He can hit 60 again. I just don't like. All I'm saying is he needs to keep adjusting as the league adjusts to him, and then sure he'll hit 60 again. I'm not saying that it won't happen. I'm saying that he does need to adjust, like as the league adjusts to him.
But that's like saying that every single player needs to do that.
Like, if all the attention goes to you, the thing that you do have to change a little bit so that people either pay less attention to you or you get lost in the play more. And that's how players stay great for a long period of time. I'm not saying he can't do that. I'm just saying that he has to do that to keep being great going forward.
Sorry, can you repeat that? I literally forgot what you said.
As players become more like all the attention starts going to them.
Yeah.
They need to keep adjusting, keep finding new ways, and becoming more lost in the play, because then.
Okay, he's had attention on him directly for 5 years.
I don't know about that, but like, because now teams are going to pay attention to him a lot more now than they have in past years, and like. Again, I'm not saying he won't do it. I'm just saying that.
But why would they pay attention to him more now? He's scored
60 goals now.
Yeah, he scored 60 goals, but he was always that level. Like he was always at that level of scoring. Like he's had a 48, 49 goal season, whatever it was before this.
This was the first time he hit 50.
This is the first time he hit 50, and the first time he hit 60. But he was always the focus guy on the team, regardless of if he hit 60 or 49.
I feel like this is me and the Morgan Riley situation right now. I'm trying to debate with you. I don't have any reasons to say that he won't adjust and become.
No, but I'm not saying
no,
the adjusting part. I'm not saying. I'm saying that
I'm saying like he can't do that. If I'm being honest, the only reason I'm arguing about this is with you. But I do think that like there's a 90% chance that he adjusts and he scores 60 again next year.
Okay, I don't agree that there needs to be some big adjustment for him to score 60.
Yeah,
again.
he does. If he's just going to do the exact same stuff over and over again,
but he never does the
how
exact
much of a
same stuff
variety that
is. He
is.
never does the exact same stuff over and over again.
Yes, he does, bro. Like you're telling me he hasn't scored like in the same ways multiple times. He needs to get to different parts of the ice to keep scoring that many goals.
But he does that already.
Okay, well that's
he's a perfect player.
Because then you're saying that he can score every single game. He can score 82 and 82.
Oh no one's gonna score 82 and 82.
Exactly.
Until this season.
No, yeah.
Because if he was the perfect player, then he would
saying
that many goals.
But saying a player needs to adjust is a very blanket statement. Because it's.
I'm using the Ovechkin example. Like teams figured Ovechkin out after his sixth season or whatever. I mean, we're kind of nearing that for Matthews. Like he's finished sixth, so this maybe becomes like because realistically he wasn't as prolific as he is now at goal scoring at the start of his career as Ovechkin was. But Ovechkin, after he had like his one down year, he came back and he did much different things to adjust and like become a better goal scorer as he got older. Now, as he gets older and maybe some of the skills start to change for him, he needs to become better at other parts of his game, so it opens up the shooting part of his game more. That's what Ovechkin had to do to keep scoring 50 goals.
Yeah.
So, like, because I wouldn't say Matthews is that much of, like, a net front present right now or, his ability to deflect or whatever. Like,
yeah, I know.
Exactly. So, like, I think that if he adds those parts to his game, if he becomes, like, a better passer and creates more plays for other people, then he's going to be able to create more goals for himself as well.
Yeah.
Which I think needs to happen as he gets older now. Right?
Okay, yeah.
And it might happen next year. He might score 60 goals again next year. If he keeps it the exact same as last year, then I don't know if he's going to hit 60 goals. It becomes less of a guarantee.
Okay. All right.
Am I wrong?
I don't...
Because I'm agreeing with you that he can easily hit 60 next year.
Yeah, but I mean, you're not wrong in terms of that players need to change and that he can evolve his game. Like, for me, that's like a blanket statement for every single player in the league. Anyway, but I don't agree that he's really, because your argument's more like he's really one-dimensional in the way he scores. I don't agree with that. So that's why I'm not saying that he can't improve even more and like get into even better like scoring situations and like create more, but I don't think he's very one-dimensional in the way he scores right now.
I think if he becomes a better passer, that's going to become a more it's going to open things up for him way more than it is right now. Because right now, all the shooting attention goes to him.
Yeah.
Everything from Marner or whoever else is on the line, everything's going to him. If he opens it up to the point where he finds them for options, because those two can score as well, then he'll find more opportunities off rebounds, off wide open passes and stuff like that. And I think that going forward is going to help him, because if everyone knows that he's the only person on this lines that's going to shoot, they're gonna have two defenders on him all the time.
But they've always done that anyway.
I don't know though.
Like he's always been the only guy. Like his power play is literally everyone knows it's going to him for a snipe, and yet he still keeps scoring.
I mean, the reason that power play is successful isn't just because of Matthews.
It's not just because of him, but I mean, it's very predictable what he's going to do on that power play.
It's always he only has one penalty taken in all the playoffs he's played in.
Oh, really?
I'm just looking at this while you guys are going.
I don't know if I feel good or bad about that.
He needs to be more tough.
I knew that was coming.
Yeah, I don't know. Sure, he's going to have 60 next year.
Thank you.
Okay. I'm going to talk about everything that you've said. So, you could compare it to something like Teemu Selanne. You have a huge outburst, and then you may never get back to that. Like he had 76 goals. He never got back to that sort of area even. I'm not saying he won't get back to that, but I'm saying, some players do have insane years and struggle to repeat that again. Like Steven Stamkos has never done it again.
Yeah.
Has Ovechkin scored 60 more than once?
No,
never done it again.
But
so I could see him not getting there again next year. But on the contrary, he has the sexiest shot, if that's the word I'm going to choose to use, that I have ever seen.
Yeah.
It is.
His release doesn't make sense.
No, it doesn't. And it's in the perfect spot. It's half a second where even like other NHL players are taking a sixth of a second, and he just does it that much faster. It's so impressive. So if I had to bet my house on if he gets 60 or not next year, maybe I say no, but I think if any of those players had a chance of getting back to it, I think he is the best chance out of, even if you'd asked me when Ovi was at that point or Stamkos, I think he has that opportunity.
The other thing is that when Ovi hit 60 or 65, whatever it was, and the season after he hovered around there, got 57 or whatever it was. Okay, he didn't hit 60 again, but the reason he didn't hit 60 was not because teams figured him out, right? Like, it's not because he was he was just figured out and he couldn't do it. It's just
incredibly hard to score that.
It's just incredibly hard. Exactly. It's like that's so Selanne hit the 76 once, Stamkos hit 60 once, Ovi hit 65 once. So like Matthews hitting 60 once is a possibility, but if we go into next season and he hits 50, 55, whatever it is, he just hit 60, I don't think we can be sitting here saying like he's been figured out as a player.
No, I think he could still do it the season after that.
Yeah.
Want to know something though?
Yeah.
So Ovechkin's next season at 56 and 79, 3 more games.
Well, I was going to say this.
Is he possible to score?
But possible, yeah.
I was going to say that Matthews scored 60 in 73 games.
Yeah.
So with 9 more games, and I feel like if he knew he had that many more games, like if he was at 73 and he had that 9 left, and he was at 60, I feel like 70 is a possibility.
But that's what I mean. That's why last year was so insane, is because he missed 9 games. He was at 73. He was not, and like he was, while he was on his tear, he was suspended 2 games for that cross check against Buffalo. Remember?
Darlene, yeah.
Yeah, Darlene, and like
undisciplined.
Yeah. But like he still hit it, and like so, like for me, I mean, yeah, that's pretty crazy. 60 goals in 73
Was he kicked
games.
out of the game for that?
Yeah, I think he got a misconduct as well.
So that would be a 5-minute major and a 10 for game misconduct, right?
I'm pretty sure he just got a minor.
Did he just get a minor?
I think he just got a minor.
And then he got suspended after?
Only had 18.
Yeah.
Okay, I was like, how did he have 3 penalty minutes?
Bro, so question. That 2019-20 season, was that like that was the COVID year?
That's COVID year, yeah.
Ovechkin had 48 goals in 68 games that year.
Yeah, crazy.
Imagine he played
the rest of the season that year. Yeah.
Would have had a nice little late 50s goals total for Ovechkin again.
Yeah.
So I would say no, he doesn't do it next year, Wouldn't shock me, obviously, but I think he has the best chance than
To do
anyone
it.
that
Yeah.
I've seen play to get to 60 multiple times in their career.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the Sens have a cool goal scorer too, guys.
Okay.
We have DeBrincat and... Oh, I was like telling Sophie this, actually. I'm just making it about the Sens because,
We find this part of the podcast every time.
Yeah. Do you know... So, Sophie and I had this ongoing joke that Josh Norris would score 2 goals every time he scored. He would, like, never score just one, which obviously is, like, not totally true. But it was hilarious how many times it's like, oh, he's going to score again. And he would. So 15 of his 35 goals were in the same game. Like, he has scored 15 goals, which were parts of multi-goal games, which is a lot when you think about it. Like, especially for someone who didn't score like 60 or something. Like 35,
Yeah.
that's... So that would be what? 15 games. And then the other, how many is that? So 20. So he scored in 35 games, essentially, throughout the season.
The world's most frustrating fantasy hockey player.
Oh, wait. Not 35 games. Oh, my gosh. He scored in
35
less than
and
35 games.
Almost made me beep something out good.
But anyways, yeah. Very weird goal scorer, Josh Norris is. On the same level as those other guys, right, guys?
Yes.
Ovechkin and Matthews.
Yeah. He had 66 games. He could have got the 40s.
He would have, yeah, I mean, it looked like mid-40s at that point.
Yeah. All right, anyways, enough about the best goal scorers in the league, guys. Come on.
Nice.
You have a better chance
Um,
of saying DeBrincat at that level
Yeah.
than Josh Norris.
I mean, I don't know. So, next week, actually, we are adding, instead of a top 10 list like we are going to do just after this, so we will talk about our top 10 right wings, we are actually going to start our division previews for this upcoming season. So, we're going to start with the Atlantic Division. We're going to talk about where we think each team, in our opinions, will finish at the end of the regular season, if the Sens will make the playoffs, if Toronto missed the playoffs, and
I mean, everyone has one of my opinions on lock for that one. Florida.
Yes, that's true.
Yeah.
And
I gotta
mine
have
as
them
well,
over there.
actually. Boston.
Leafs. Oh,
Remember me thinking Boston's gonna miss?
You're banking on an injury.
yep.
Yeah.
Toronto's missing.
Toronto's and the other one, Toronto's finishing first in the div. That's my remember.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
That's what I thought you were going to say.
You can have them at first, and we'll have them at 8th, and we'll just even it out.
So, yeah, if you want to tune in next week and see if your list matches up to ours.
Not if. Do turn in next week.
Yes.
You gotta
Do.
be-
Command.
Yeah,
gotta be
sorry.
assertive.
So, Sufi, you want to take it away with our top 10 right wings?
Sure. Okay, I'm going to start with honorable mentions. All of these players were considered at 10, and it was kind of just my decision on the day that I was going to put the player that I have at 10 at 10. That made sense. The 3 players, honorable mentions, were Troy Terry, Drake Batherson, and Tage Thompson. Troy Terry had 67 points in 75 games with 37 goals. Thompson had 38 goals in 78 games, and then Batherson had 44 points in 46 games. They all had great years. But at number 10, I have Clayton Keller. He had 63 points in 67 games on one of the worst, not only offensive teams in the league, the worst team in the league, and 63 points in 67 games. I think he, as the team maybe gets better, who knows, he's going to be off and producer for a while, and I don't really see him slowing down. He's already had a couple of good seasons as well. Number 9, I have the first of 2 Leafs on this list, William Nylander. 80 points in 81 games. Doesn't go into corners, which I said in this article, but we're going to leave that.
It's all about the flair, okay?
Yeah, no, I think that...
I think it's about his hair, actually.
Yeah.
The things are kind of overblown about him with not going to corners. I mean, in reality...
There was one clip where he
Yeah.
didn't go for it, and he also scored twice in the game.
Yeah,
so.
no,
It was against Tampa, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
It became a huge thing, bro. Like, which, by all means, like, he could also not go into corners ever, and we just didn't notice it. But I think it was the way he went into that corner that made people mad.
I mean, you can go into the corner, get injured, or not go into the corner, not get injured, and then score 2 goals.
If he gets injured off just going into the corner, that's a little bit more of a concern. But
His hair.
okay. ruined his hair. Number 8, we have Timo Meyer, 76 points in 77 games, 35 goals. He had a 5-goal game last year, and all 5 goals were gross. And he plays on San Jose, which is a team, so he's not going to get noticed as well, but he's really good defensively for a winger. He's a really good goal scorer, and he shot a lot last year. He had 326 shots last year. And still had an over 10 shooting percentage, by the way, which is pretty sick. Number 7, we have Mark Stone, the best defensive winger in the league. He's the only winger I've seen in recent years to finish top 5 in Selke voting multiple times. He's a really fun player to watch, as I think Evan can attest to.
Yeah, when he was playing for the Sens, it was... I think everyone knows he's not a great skater. He doesn't
better than Bobby Ryan.
maneuver great. But it was like almost hysterical how often he would get his stick into lanes, and like it was like you could count on him every single game. He was going to get an amazing like turnover, interception, or stick lift and takeaway. Like he was just so good at it. Like he had such a knack. It was crazy. Like I know Pavel Datsyuk used to get a lot of takeaways, interceptions, and stuff, and it was like on a similar level. It was like that was his skill, and it was so bizarre because no other player that I had seen personally dominated that aspect of the game so much. So it was really interesting seeing like such a dominant offensive player dominate in such a unique way.
Mm-hmm. And like even the highlight that I have of his is it's almost like players when they're coming in on him get a little bit scared of him now, and they become a little jittery, and that's kind of what happened. JT Miller like was going in on the power play, and then he like bobbled the puck as he sees Mark Stone come towards him. Stone steals the puck and makes an amazing pass, and the guy scores. Number 6,
and late round pick, by the way.
So.
Yeah. Number 6, we have Patrick Kane, who's like probably the world's most debated player in the Twitter sphere now because of his extremely horrible analytics versus him just being an absolutely gross player to watch.
How bad are his analytics?
Do you want to see?
Was it like...
I can pull it. I already have it up. Regardless, like he's one of my favorite players to go see live. I've seen Chicago like a couple of times live, and when you watch him just like fire backhand passes like cross ice to like it's no one's business, and you try that yourself and you put it like 10 feet ahead of the next person. So the thing is, like, his micro stats are good because skill-wise, he's still a sick player. It's just he doesn't drive the offense at all, which honestly put a lot of credit on DeBrincat and how good he is at play driving, and that's why they were a really good combo because Kane's skill and DeBrincat's goal scoring and play driving really mesh well. So we'll see what happens there with their stats.
DeBrincat's better than Kane.
Okay. At number 5, we have Matthew Tkachuk, who I moved from left wing to right wing, and he stayed in the exact same spot. He played right wing all last year, and I wouldn't be surprised if he stays there just because he played so well on that side. And I mean, there's really no point in changing him unless Florida has a lot of left wingers.
That is what the other wing is called.
I didn't know. He had 104 points in 82 games, 42 goals, 62 assists. Does he hit those totals again? I don't know, but that's not really the appeal of him because he's one of the better defensive wingers in the league, and he's one of the most annoying players in the league, and he scores a lot of through-the-legs goals. Like, he tries it a lot as well.
He does try that. He tries that a lot.
He does. So
does
does
try
Brady
it.
now a little bit.
Yeah.
He's more meat and potatoes, where... actually, fun fact, guys. I was at the game where he scored backwards between the legs against the Rangers, which is on like the NHL network commercial all the time, and I'm like, wow, I saw one of the greatest goals in the past couple of years be scored. That was pretty
And
cool.
you also saw McDavid torch him too.
Yeah, I saw McDavid torch them in the playoffs. It was great.
Number 4, we have David Pasternak. He's going into a contract year now, so I'm kind of a scary player now. Like, he was seen as like one of the better goal scorers in the league the last few years, and he kind of came back to prominence here because he wasn't as injured as he was last year, and he put 77 points in 72 games, scored one of the nicest goals of the year as well. And I wouldn't be surprised if he hits like 50, 55 this year going into a contract year as well. Number 3, Mikko Rantanen, 92 points in 75 games. He had a... He's a weird player because he's 6'5" and he's not physical at all. But he uses his size well, if that makes sense, because he uses it to create passing plays, and he creates a lot of space for that first line. And he was on and off in the playoffs, and I think there was a lot of criticism for him because of that. But he still produced at a decent clip, and they ended up winning the cup, so it's all good. Number 2, we have Mitch Marner.
Oh, 2.
97 points in 75 games. Some Marner stats actually. Since 2018-19, which is his breakout year. Among right wingers, he ranks 2nd in points and points per game, 2nd assists, 7th in goals, and 2nd in average time on ice. The time on ice thing is mostly because he's on the penalty kill, which you don't see a lot with skill players. I think you're starting to seeing it more recently, but like Matthews isn't on the penalty kill. But like guys like Kuznetsov and stuff, like they're starting to get more on there, and he's created a lot of chances off penalty kills. He's one of the most scary players to watch on the penalty kill. Number 1, we have
the most scary player to watch on the penalty kill
after Spashnaho. At number 1, we have Nikita Kucherov, 67 points in 47 games. He's kind of like still underrated for me personally. I don't think people realize how insane of a player he actually is, because
He looks like he doesn't try.
that's the most impressive thing about him, because he doesn't try all playoffs, and he still has a 1.27 points per game in the playoffs in his whole career. He has a 1.27 playoff points per game.
Playoff per game average.
Yeah.
Wait.
But in the regular season, he has a 1.33 points per game. So the play for him, where most players you see them drop off in points per game or just their offense in general, but for him it doesn't drop off at all. Him and McDavid are like the only 2 players that's happened with, and maybe Draisaitl, but at the start of the career it wasn't like that. But he just does everything offensively well, and he has the playoff performances to back it up. He has the cups. He's one of the most fun players to watch, and he's one of the most fun post-game interviews as well. So I like...
Well, specifically after winning the cup.
Yeah. He kind of just puts everyone to sleep and then just does something amazing, and you're like, what the heck did that just come from? Like the Aaron Ekblad goal, the one where he just like
turned
him around and made that. No one even saw the player coming from that side. I didn't even notice him, and then you look at the replay and you're like, he didn't even look at him the entire time going on the ice, and then just makes an easy pass right over through the guy's stick.
It's almost like he was just coincidentally there. He was, like I'm sure he knew, but it was just like, oh yeah.
Because he just looked at him like here. You just saw him like going down the ice, and then you're like, okay, like did he know that he made it there eventually or not? But
that fits right into my argument of Florida Panthers' defense last year was very overrated.
Well, they scored like 4 goals a game.
Yeah, but the thing about him too is he has an underrated shot. His release is insane, and like the one timer in the power play is one of the best in the league, and especially it might be the best in the league on that side.
Well, other than Norris.
Yeah, sure.
Other than Hoffman, actually, you should say.
The thing is, we've seen
he was pretty too.
He scored one of the most like perfect looking shots I've ever seen. Like it went right.
Norris?
No,
He did.
Norris.
I'll bring the goal up right now.
You talking Hoffman or Kucherov?
Philadelphia.
Kucherov.
Okay.
Oh, guys, no.
I don't doubt
This
Norris
is a Senators podcast.
I don't doubt that he hasn't. He's.
I don't think Norris has that nice of a goal.
But
I'll show you.
Kucherov has
right
done
now.
it multiple times, and he will do it for the rest of his career. Yeah, that's my list.
All right.
I'm finding this goal, and I will show you after the podcast.
Okay,
Oh,
so you
no.
want to find it after the podcast?
Yeah, I'll show you after because
It's
it
so hard to
doesn't
find
matter
auto
right now.
plays.
So Evan, does our
Most of my-
head-to-head today include 2 people from the top 10 list?
Of course it does.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for one that doesn't. It's just 2 third liners.
I want one that doesn't, just because so Sufi doesn't have to stick with his list.
Thing is, now I don't have any lists anymore. So
True.
Now it has to be.
Yeah. Now he'll forget about the list, and then contradict
never.
himself.
I'll never forget. The thing is, in my head when I think about these and I look through them again, I'm like, okay, I contradict myself.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't want anyone to bring up some dumb analytics or anything, unless they're in my favor.
Oh, it's a sentence player.
I'm just kidding. Marner or Rantanen? This is our head-to-head podcast, or head-to-head segment, everyone. So every episode we bring up two players and we discuss who we would prefer on our team. So this episode, obviously, we have the top 10 right-wingers list, and it is...
Okay, I'm just going to ask you.
Marner
I'm going to ask you
Rantanen?
first. Why do you prefer Rantanen?
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah, why do you prefer? Yeah, I know you're gonna pick Rantanen.
Yeah, we are.
I think, you said it well. I think he is such an effective player without going into corners, but uses his size really well, not necessarily to hit people, but to gain body position. Kind of like, how Yager was? He is a big guy, but you never saw him truck people or anything. He just used his size super well. He created gaps. And people couldn't reach around him because he used his big ass so much. And this is kind of similar to some other situations, but when I think it was a couple years ago, McKinnon was hurt. Or was he hurt? I don't know. I think he was hurt for a little bit, but Rantanen led the league in points for a long time as well. This is a guy that can dominate, I think, without other players on his team. I think he can play drive for himself. And with such size, I think especially comparing to Marner, it's kind of hard not to pick, I think they're close. Especially, I think Marner is probably one of the best passers I've seen in a long time, but I think Rantanen has a better shot, and I like the size on him better as well. Because like we've said before, and by we I mean me,
97,
size matters.
97 points, 72 games.
Pardon?
97 points, 72 games. Marner's better.
The argument for
and more penalty kills.
Being able to play without other players and stuff like that. Marner did that too when Matthews was out and for 14 games.
The way Marner...
And he
wait.
scored 94 points.
Dang it! Okay, I was looking because I saw Rantanen also had 70-something games played and had 90-something points. I was like, oh my gosh, is it the same?
Yeah,
the impact Marner has is unmatchable by Rantanen.
Because the thing with
your face.
Okay, yeah, he might he's gonna be a very swayed and winner. For me, this is very close.
No, it's very close. I can
and
agree.
for me, the 2-3, it was tough to choose. It's just
tough.
Yes, I had more for me. Kucherov was always number one. I think for this, it was this could win either way, but for me, we've seen Marner now get. He's just produced at an insane rate for 4 years, and Rantanen's had definite cold stretches where Marner has had that with goals, but he's never really played any worse. I think people overblow his goal mishaps and not the ability not to score sometimes, and then he ends up with 35 goals anyway. But for me, the impact that he has on the penalty kill as well is far greater. The impact that he's had.
You said that Rantanen also plays on the penalty kill and is one of the best creators on the penalty kill.
Rantanen?
Did you not say this earlier?
No,
that's
Marner.
Oh, I was zoning out earlier. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
I was like, wasn't this Rantanen?
As far as I know, Rantanen doesn't kill penalties, does he?
Well, in my head he did because I thought Sufi was talking about him. I was like, I'm going to use your words against you.
I can see if he played on the penalty kill last year. Regardless, no, he didn't play on the penalty kill.
Well,
to think that
do we know that for sure?
To think that of the 97, to think that of the 97 points Marner has, some of those are penalty kill points. Come on.
Yeah, maybe if Rantanen did play on the penalty kill, he'd have the same amount.
Nah, that argument is useless.
Rantanen isn't as good of a defensive player in general, though. I can understand the size argument, but it's kind of hard to fault him for not being big.
And Marner uses his shorter stature
but
amazingly.
That's also saying, goalies nowadays have gotten way bigger. That's like saying, sorry, I can't choose you I'm not going to use that. But yeah, it is an advantage.
In an issue, okay, for example, Ben Bishop was the monster.
Yes.
Right? And he was great, but he was never, his size never made him better than Price, Vasilevsky.
No, but it probably made him better than he would have been if he was 6'1".
I mean, you can look at comparable.
Sure, but
but that's comparing
if you
him to
think
himself.
if Marner was if Marner was 6'5", do you think he'd be a better player?
Okay, but Marner does what he does by being a smaller size.
Yeah. So Marner's game would have been different. Rantanen's game is different at that size. Marner has played his entire life at a smaller size than everyone else, and he's adjusted his game to be effective at that size.
May I also add that one of these people has won a playoff round?
Yeah, I
and a Stanley Cup, and
I knew
had
that.
25
Yeah.
points in 20 playoff games. He was assist per game, let alone over point per
Marner
game.
had 8 points in 7 games.
That's great.
But the playoff argument is just mute at this point because like Rantanen.
What do you mean it's mute?
Because Rantanen, if you ask anyone or you look at how he played throughout the playoffs, he wasn't as effective as a player, minus the points. Like he was definitely riding the coattails of his teammates in the playoffs because maybe he was hurt or whatever. I don't know, but Marner's performance didn't drop in the playoffs, and as much as I like to be the one that pins the losses of playoffs on Marner and Matthews, it isn't their fault, and they did everything that they could to do so. And the thing with the size is like Marner would be if Marner had the exact same skill set that he does now at 6'5", maybe he would have been a better player. But the thing is, he doesn't need to do that because where Mikko Rantanen creates space for himself by being bigger, Marner just uses the space that he has, and he has the ability to create plays in tight areas where Rantanen can't do the same. He has to create space for himself, and they're both good at doing that. That's why they're number 2 and 3 in whatever order in the league.
I agree 100%.
Well, I think they're just adjusting to their like the skills they have in their repertoire. For example, like Mikko Rantanen is a bigger guy, so he can use that size advantage. Where Mitch Marner, with often you see with smaller athletes in general, a lot more fast twitch muscles, so they're able to make those moves quicker, get the puck off their stick really quick.
Yeah, but you...
I'm saying if you switch the height around, I'm not saying that it's a wash.
Yeah, but you were using
I think
Rantanen's height as an advantage for
I
it.
don't because
no, I'm saying they would be probably very similar. I'm saying it's very close, but I'm saying they would probably switch their play styles on their height. So you can't say that his play style, just because of his height,
Okay, wait,
would
question
make
for
him
you.
a better or worse player.
Question for you. You put Marner on a line of nobodies, and you put Rantanen on a line of nobodies. Who's more effective?
Brandon. You need a big player. Like, it's just random guys. Height, weight, skill level, all random.
Yeah.
Would you not prefer a larger player? And yes, I would say Marner is a better playmaker, but wouldn't you say that almost hurts him with random players? Because playmaking's great, but if you can't find people who can score,
he has
that
35
sucks.
goals.
He had 35 goals.
Okay,
yeah.
Brandon had 36. So you have a guy with a better shot. And
Arguably
a better shot, in my opinion, better shot. But then a guy who's also can make that space for you because he's a big guy.
But Marner wouldn't be worse, like just because he doesn't have better players around him. He's still going to find those players to score.
Yeah.
And he did.
You said nobody's.
But
He played with Matthews this year. He probably would have had less points.
Doesn't matter who he plays with. He always has
didn't
points.
play with Matthews 4 years ago, and he
Yeah.
had the same amount of points. You were bringing the same thing up with
Brandon
Rantanen.
wasn't playing with McKinnon.
Yeah, but he didn't play
But
with Matthews
I
until
know, but
Keith
that's
came
what
in.
we're saying. Like, it's kind of a wash at that point if you're saying that for like however many years ago, Rantanen didn't have McKinnon or Landeskog or whatever, and 4 years ago Marner didn't have Matthews, and they put up the same amount of points. It's the same thing. Like, and then the size thing, like, is we've done our thing where we put guys on different teams, and then we do hypotheticals that I can't wrap my head around making two players different sizes entirely.
Yeah, that's
And then,
yeah.
like, that's
that argument
'cause-
didn't make any sense.
I'm just like,
to me.
I don't know. If you made me and Evan the different sizes, who would be a better basketball player? I don't know. Definitely him, because that's a bigger discrepancy in activeness. But like, regardless, like, I don't. For me, Marner's shot isn't that much worse. He doesn't shoot as much. I don't think. Actually,
Just
maybe.
the one thing that I will give Evan on this one is Marner scored 35 this year, but this was his first time cracking 30. So yeah, I'd like to see it happen again to see if he can do it consistently. I think he can, but yeah, I'd like to see another season of him
But bro,
scoring 35
he had
goals.
20 in 55 games.
Yeah, he's
Rantanen had 30 and 52 last year. Not this past year, the one before that. Like, he could have gotten to maybe like 50 that year.
Yeah,
maybe
whatever.
50's pushing it,
It's
but
the
like
past. It's the
Yeah,
past.
that's a lot of
45.
goals. Like,
I feel like 45 is definitely possible.
sure,
like,
but
Rantanen also has.
and this is his third time hitting 30. He had 29 another year.
and
he's had his up
Rantanen
and downs
has-
though. Like, he's definitely a great player, and like Marner hasn't really fallen off in since he had his breakout. And now if he's adding scoring goals and shooting more to his arsenal, I don't really see that becoming a worse thing for him.
Also, you take Marner off Toronto. You take Rantanen off Colorado.
That
Colorado.
definitely- it has a
Marner hurts a
it
Toronto hurts a
more.
lot more.
You lose a penalty. You your best penalty killer and you lose.
Yeah.
Well, maybe.
But
after
that's
David
different.
Kampf.
Colorado is a dominant team. They have probably the best decor in the league, the most mobile, puck moving as well.
That's what I mean.
Yeah, so your argument, it doesn't make sense because you're saying
No, but
you're taking a player who's probably similar skill level off a better team, and then a player at that same sort of skill level off a worse team. No shit, the bad team's going to hurt
I think
more.
Marner would have more points on Colorado than Rantanen did.
Oh, 100%. Because
Rantanen playing with Matt,
No.
switching Rantanen to with
Yeah,
Matthews.
and I think Rantanen would similarly produce rather than Marner becoming a less of a goal scorer. I think Marner at that point has more options to pass to than this.
I don't know.
And then Rantanen has less people passing it to him for goals, and he doesn't really create goal scoring opportunities for himself. Most of his goal scoring opportunities come off like one-time passes and stuff like that. Like I don't think he would get as much of that on Toronto.
I don't know, guys.
I think the impact is a lot higher with Marner.
If Rantanen used his size more, like in the physicality range,
Like a Kachuk or something.
Hey, he might be partying it up right now. He may come 20 pounds heavier to camp. You never know.
And that might make him slower. So I don't know. But
I mean, his team was insane with or without him. I mean, his points
I tend to stray away from the team argument because I don't like that argument that much. It's just
25 points in 20 games in the playoffs.
But
that matters.
But the playoffs, it was very largely stated that he wasn't as good of a player in the playoffs. The points,
and he still had 25 and 20.
Okay, that's great. But if you put Marner on Colorado, he's getting the same amount of points or more on that.
Maybe they don't. Maybe he's cursed. Maybe they don't make it past the first round with him on the team.
He's won things in his life. He's won with London. He's won with World Juniors. I don't think he's the curse.
Doesn't count.
Maybe it's Matthews. Who knows?
No.
But
the perfect player.
Even if you say their regular season plays and whatever are the wash, I think for me, Marner just brings more because of his defensive play and how he's adapted and like evolved as a player. Because Toronto has basically forced him into doing that. It really changes the dynamic and like he overall impacts the game more, in my opinion, than Rantanen for that.
Well, I guess we will agree to disagree, and I think Rantanen has a better shot. I like his size better, and that's the guy I'd pick on my team.
But you're also biased against Toronto.
This is true, but I have complimented each of your players today. I said Marner is probably the prettiest passer I've seen in a long time, and I said Matthew has the sexiest shot that I've seen in a long time.
2 of your players, not mine.
2 of yours. All right, Jimmy Stewing Josh Norris.
We're also we need to make sure we announce we are going to be on Apple Podcasts.
Yes, so this week we will be launching our Apple podcast. So we launched Spotify last week, and so by next episode you should be hearing us on Apple if you'd like. So thanks for tuning in.
This episode itself will be available on Apple.
Yes, this episode.
Yes.
So maybe listen to it right now, and we'd love to see that. So yeah, I think we all agreed to disagree, and we can agree that Josh Norris is the best goal scorer in the league.
Bringing up Josh Norris, bro. You're gonna make me dislike Josh
Norris. Josh Norris, if you're watching this, we all love you equally,
and
as you can tell.
Next episode, the interview.
Yes, and so we also are having an interview next episode. So we will be having Ross Levitan from the Locked On Senators podcast on our podcast. We'll be talking about the Atlantic Division, what he thinks about the Senators this upcoming season, and how he became a Senators fan. So please tune in next episode and check out that interview. And anything else you guys want to say?
Go Leafs.
Go Josh Norris.
That's what we like to hear.
All right, we'll see you next week, guys.
See ya.
Bye.